Marty has more than one anchor woman in his life.
Hi, Larry.
Christine
This
Sorensen.
is like our show. It's all day aggravation. There are times when you hate me. Tell them.
No,
Yes.
I'm a well-adjusted middle child.
Sometimes when we're on the air, this is a true story, and I make him really uptight. PJ, you know this. My man looks down at his phone, and I'm looking up for some help, and he just looks with his eyes. They start to bulge out. That means Larry would like to stab me in the chest. Tell them, Larry.
No.
But Larry, I love you, man. I love you.
You too, Marty.
Go ahead, man.
So,
Go ahead, Larry.
because of Marty's television and the fact that his wife is Christine at KDK TV, Marty has a lot of television news connections. A lot of people, he says, my boys just texted me.
That's right.
Could be any number of, and there are many, and it's true. He's always over. He talks about me on his phone. It's like, my boys just texted me. What's going on? Which is part of the charm, I would hope, the fact that we're trying to bring you breaking news and make a difference. And Susan Koeppen is here because we asked her to share her incredible story.
Thanks, Larry. I've been going through my phone because I text Koeppen once in a while. We go way back. I love her as a person. I love her as a reporter. I love her as a mom. She has incredible integrity and amazing news judgment. And I have sources, as she knows. This is actually fantastic stuff, how this whole thing came down. Saturday, October 27th. August 27th, I apologize, 8:42 p.m. All caps to her on her cell. You saved a man's life. WTF, right? That's how it came in. Why didn't you tell the world? And the next one says, a car ran over your foot, right? I start texting her. Now I know, because I heard from sources, that this happened, this wonderful story. And I'm not trying to get her in trouble. I'm trying to make her into the person she is, magnificent. Saved a man's life. Had her foot run over, right? Right. She doesn't respond, which means I know now that the story's true. This is what Koeppen does. She blows me off. So then I keep going. This is actually why I'm such a pain in the ass to people. So Monday, August 29th, I must have startled you with the text. I apologize. I heard a firsthand story of you saving a man's life. I apologize if I caught you off guard. I love you. You're amazing. Nothing. Nothing. A couple hours later, who's your source? Swear to God. No, this is from a guy just trying to get a great person to tell a story about saving a man's life. And the irony is that she died. She died. Was dead for, what was it, 7 minutes, 8 minutes? Yeah. And the same thing happened to this guy. And she saved his life. And all I want to do is tell the story. Swear to God. Who's your source? I say, who cares? Jesus told me. That's the text. Swear to God. And then I said, why would you be ashamed for saving a man's life? You're a badass. The story is effing amazing. Chicks, man. And we ended at that. True story. So she comes back and agrees to do it after she tells the story. But the magnificence of Susan is her elegance and her grace and her intelligence and the fact that she did something magnificent and didn't want credit for it. And the other thing about her that I love, and my wife loves her, is she is one of the funniest people on earth. And I'll tell you what makes this story really funny. When she's saving this guy's life, this is true, and she knows it. She had just played tennis. Cop comes up. So he got the cameras on the car, right? She's bent over in a tennis skirt. So her whole backside is on the video, and that's the only thing she's worried about. Right? Right? But at the end of the day, there's a greatness to her being so humble, someone so beautiful and so effective as a mom and as a leader and as a newsmaker who gives a damn. And so many people don't. And I can call her a good friend, and we've always been good friends. And my wife confides in her as one of the only people within the business that they understand each other. And it's my honor, quite frankly, to be able to help tell this story and to bring it to you guys tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Susan Koeppen.
Thank you guys for inviting me to be here. I was very honored that you asked me. humbled by it, and I'm happy to share my story. So thank you so much for having me here, and a big congratulations to all the honorees who are here tonight. I looked up, what does a hero mean? I looked it up in the dictionary, and it says it's a person that we admire for their bravery, their courage, their good deeds, their good qualities. And I thought that's spot on for everybody who is being honored here tonight. And I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you about my heroes. So if you can do me a favor, we're going to get in our time machine and we're going to travel back in time. So I need everybody to close their eyes. Close your eyes, even if you don't want to and you think you're goofy by doing it. We'll close our eyes and we're going to go back to November 20th, 2011. It's a Sunday. It is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful in Pittsburgh. This is a true story. I'm not making this up. I know, it's hard to picture a beautiful Sunday in November in Pittsburgh, but I swear to God, this is a true story. I live in Shadyside, picture Walnut Street. I'm heading out for a run. Okay, we can open our eyes. You all have the visual, right? So I live right off of Walnut Street, and I have little kids at the time, and I am going out for a training run because I'm training for the Pittsburgh Half Marathon. And my 4-year-old daughter, Reagan, grabs onto my leg and says, "Don't go today, Mommy. Don't go running today. Don't go today." And it's as if she knew something. And I said, "Honey, I'm going to be right back." And I did not come back. I did not come back that day. I did not come back the next day because something very terrible happened during that run. So I go out for this run. I'm running with some friends, and if you're familiar with Shadyside, I get to the busway where the Giant Eagle is, and there's that back garage that you can park in, and my friends say I sprinted ahead, I put my hands on my knees, and then I fell back, and when they got to me, I was turning blue, I had no pulse, I wasn't breathing, my eyes had rolled back into my head, and they knew something was terribly wrong. So they started screaming for help, and at that very moment, 2 medical students from the University of Pittsburgh were driving by to go grocery shopping. They hopped out of their car, and they gave me immediate CPR. Vanessa and Ron Mall. Ron Mall was taking my pulse. Vanessa was doing the compressions. And she said while she was doing the compressions, she asked what my name was, and she just kept screaming, "Come on, Susan, come on, Susan, come on, Susan." A guy walking by looked down. He decided to call 911. And he looked at my wedding ring, of all things, and said, "Is that Susan Koeppen?" And they said, "Yes." And he said, I know her. I know her family. So he called my neighbor, who ran outside to get my husband, who was raking leaves, and said, "Something very bad has happened to Susan. You have to go right to Giant Eagle." So he ran. Instead of getting in his car, he just ran to Giant Eagle to find me. And they were still doing compressions on me. Firefighters had arrived. So the medical students were my first heroes. Then the firefighters arrived on scene. They took over compressions. They shocked my heart with an AED, and they took me away in an ambulance to Shadyside Hospital, where they then literally put me on ice. Just like you want to save the macaroni salad at the picnic, you don't want it to spoil. They do that with humans as well. Shadyside Hospital, the doctors and nurses and everyone who works there, it's one of the few hospitals in the country where they do this protocol to chill your body, to put you on ice, to save your brain and save your organs. I was clinically dead for 7 minutes. I had dropped dead on the sidewalk, much like my grandmother dropped dead on a sidewalk. Unfortunately, nobody saved her, but I had heroes in my life who worked to save me. So as my husband went to the hospital, he decided I have to call my family. And my husband is a plastic surgeon, but my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, my mother-in-law, cardiologist, my mother-in-law is a nurse in their office. So he makes a phone call immediately to his brother Joe, who's a cardiologist, and says, in his panic, "Susan arrested, Susan arrested." And my brother-in-law said, "Susan's been arrested?" And he's like, "No, cardiac arrest." So Joe promptly goes to church to get my mother-in-law, and behind her in the pew, he also says, "Susan arrested." And my mother-in-law says out loud in church, "Susan's been arrested?" Now, in their defense, it was more plausible at that point in my life that I would have been arrested. Like, I was 39 years old. I mean, I'm not going to have cardiac arrest while out for a run on a beautiful Sunday in Pittsburgh, but that's what happened. So I get to Shadyside Hospital. I'm in the ICU. I'm on a ventilator. They have me on ice, and they say to my husband, if and when she wakes up, she may not be Susan. So slowly they brought me to, woke me up. This is several days later. And I asked a couple questions. Where am I? What happened? Who is the kids? And did you call work? And at that point, my husband's like, she's gonna be totally fine. She's asking if we called work. Yes, honey, we called you off. Yeah, it's all good. Everybody's aware you're not coming in to anchor the news tonight. We're all good. So I spent several weeks in the hospital recovering, and man, I was a mess. My chest hurt from the compressions, from the CPR. I had pneumonia. I was just really dazed and confused. And they weren't really sure what happened to me. Why did a 39-year-old who was very physically fit suddenly have cardiac arrest? They believe it was my mitral valve that blew open that day. An electrical problem. I needed an electrician, not a plumber. Everything was flowing fine. So they decided to put in a defibrillator. They implanted it in my chest to make sure that if this ever happened again, that it would shock me and shock my heart back into a rhythm. So when I woke up, and keep in mind I'm dazed and confused, and I didn't really want this thing, and I said to the doctor, is this thing gonna save my life? And he said, it is. It is. And I said, well, when I told my husband I wanted implants in my chest, this is not what I had planned for. He's like, I understand. I totally understand. So all those people in my life that day who saved me, those people are my heroes. I mean, every single person, it lined up perfectly for me to survive. Cardiac arrest is 90% fatal if it happens to you outside of a hospital. There's absolutely no reason why I should be here today, except I had heroes who stopped immediately, gave me CPR, knew what to do. The amazing first responders that we have in Pittsburgh who are on the scene in minutes, who, by the way, I still talk to them. I still talk to the med students who got married. I went to their wedding, and they now have 3 kids, so they had a very happy ending as well. And just all the doctors and nurses and everybody, all my heroes. So I want to fast forward now. Let's get in our time machine again. We don't have to close our eyes, but now we're gonna get to the current year. We're in 2022. And would you almost die It changes you as a person. I now live every single day of my life to the fullest. I do absolutely everything I want to do because I always think, well, if I don't do it right now and I don't do it today, I might not be here tomorrow. So I do everything I want to do. And so in July, it was a Wednesday, July 13th, I was playing tennis before work because tennis is one of the things I love to do. And I was leaving tennis, and as I was leaving, I got to an intersection in Point Breeze. And I'm at the light, and I see a guy coming the other way, older guy, and his car is kind of swerving like this. And I thought, where's this guy going? What is he doing? And then his car swerves, and I said, I'm going to watch this guy as he goes by me. So he starts going by me, and I look, and I said, he's not even awake. And I watched, he jumped a curb and crashed into a fence. If you've ever been on Penn Avenue in the middle of the afternoon, it's the intersection we were at was Penn Avenue and South Dallas, one of the busiest intersections in the city. I threw my car in park and I just ran across 2 lanes of traffic. I got to him and I knew immediately that he was in cardiac arrest. He was unresponsive, he was gasping for air, and I said, I gotta save this guy. So I popped his seatbelt, I grabbed him, and I started pulling this grown man out of his car. And then at that point, I was like, oh, Susan, please don't drop this man. And I said, whoever's behind me, grab his legs. And this very nice man grabbed his legs. We laid him down right on Penn Avenue. And I started giving him CPR. I did not know his name. I just kept calling him dude. And I just pressed as hard and as fast as I could on his chest, screaming, come on, dude, let's go. Come on, dude, let's go. And he was not responding. And I was terrified for this guy, but I knew somebody had to do something. And the guy who helped me put him down on the ground, he called 911. And then he started directing traffic so that we would not get hit. And then there were people standing around watching me give CPR. Again, I had just come from tennis. I have on a tiny little tennis skirt, butt up in the air, didn't care. It was down and dirty. There was nothing like the videos that you watch about how to give CPR. It was dirty and messy and fast and scary and sweaty, and all I knew is that this guy had to survive. I had to give this guy a fighting chance. So that's what I was doing. And at one point, I looked up at a witness and I said, I need to know what this guy's name is because I need to scream his name. He needs to know we're working on him. Go into his car, grab his registration, tell me what his name is. Well, in my effort to get the man out of the car, I didn't think about putting it into park. So she gets in the car, and as I'm bent over, pressing on this guy, witnesses say, because it all happened so fast, witnesses say, I screamed, the car is moving, and I picked up this man, moved him out of the way, and then the car hit me from behind and ran over my foot and pinned me underneath the car. So everyone is, wow, what just happened? Well, the car is still on top of me. And so I said, the car is on my foot. The car is on my foot. And all these strangers pushed this car off of me. And at that moment, cop was there and he said, I'm taking over CPR. He did CPR. And then the firefighters were there, EMTs, a doctor from UPMC had all arrived. And I was really nervous for this guy. They worked on him for a really, really long time. and he was taken away in an ambulance, and the doctor from UPMC walked over and he said, "Congratulations, you're a rock star, you just saved that guy's life." And I said, "He's alive?" And he said, "Yeah, he's alive. He's alive." And he's screaming in the back of the ambulance, "He's alive." And when they got him to the hospital, they're describing the woman who gave the man CPR, and the doctor in the ER said, "Was it Susan Koeppen?" And then he pulled up my photo, and the doctor said, "Yeah, it was her." It was I think it was the tall blonde in a tennis skirt that gave it away to this doctor who, he wasn't just some stranger. It's someone I've done a lot of work with before in the past about CPR and saving lives and cardiac arrest. So he texted me and he said, "Wow, what a full circle moment is that, right?" And this happened just a mile away from where I dropped on a sidewalk and two people hopped out of their car to save my life. The other day I was scrolling through Facebook and I stopped on a word search and just a bunch of jumbled letters, and it said, "Look for the first word that pops out, and that's your mantra." Okay, well, of course, I'm looking at all the letters. The first word that popped out was miracles. Miracles. And it was a miracle that day that I was even at that intersection, because when I was playing tennis, the sun was hitting me in the eyes, and I said, "This is really annoying." And my friend said, "Borrow my hat." So I put on her hat, played tennis, had a great day. Then when I was leaving, I got to the end of the road and I said, "Oh, I forgot to give her hat." So I turned around and came all the way back, gave her hat, which delayed me about 10 minutes and put me at that intersection. Put me there to save that guy. Just like someone put those med students there to save me. Anyway, that's my story. And I think everyone in this room is a hero. You all have the potential to change somebody's life. And a big congratulations to all the folks who are being honored tonight. You are heroes.